Look, if we're serious about a future powered by clean energy, we have to solve one absolutely massive problem. And it's not about generating more power. It's all about what we do with that power once we have it. So let's dive into the world of energy storage, the unsung hero that's going to truly unlock a renewable future. And the great news is, we are getting really, really good at generating clean electricity. I mean, thanks to these huge cost reductions, wind and solar are being rolled out at a massive scale, all across the globe. We're smack in the middle of a renewable energy boom. But this boom comes with a catch. And that right there, that's the fundamental question, isn't it? It's the central paradox of renewables. The same forces of nature that give us this clean, amazing energy are, well, they're inconsistent. Their randomness throws a huge wrench in the works for our power grid. All right, so let's really break this paradox down, because if we're going to find the right solution, we first need to get our heads completely around the problem. You have to understand, our electric grid is this incredibly delicate balancing act. Supply has to meet demand, instantly, 24/7. But renewable energy, by its very nature, it's all over the place. And that fluctuation is a serious challenge to the stability of the whole system. We desperately need a way to bridge the gap. And that bridge, well, it's energy storage. But here's the thing, it's not some one-size-fits-all magic bullet. Nope. There's a whole spectrum of technologies out there, and each one is designed for a totally different job. Okay, so the first thing you really need to get is the difference between short duration and long duration storage. Think of it like this. Short duration storage is your sprinter. It's built for these quick, powerful bursts to keep the grid stable from second to second. Long duration storage, on the other hand, that's your marathon runner. It's all about endurance, built to hold massive amounts of energy for hours, days, even weeks at a time. And right now, that sprinter, oh, he's a world-famous superstar. So let's talk about that superstar I just mentioned. The technology we all know and love from our phones, our laptops, our electric cars. Lithium-Ion. In the world of short-term storage, it is the undisputed king. So why is lithium-ion the champ? Well, for one, it crams a ton of power into a tiny package. It's also super efficient. And because it's everywhere, especially in EVs, the costs have just plummeted. For that sprinter role, keeping the grid stable for under 4 hours or so, it's absolutely unbeatable. But, and this is a huge but, it has one critical weakness. Right, so here's the bottom line. While lithium-ion batteries are fantastic sprinters, they are just way too expensive to run a marathon. Storing energy for 12 hours or for a few days, it just costs way too much with this tech. And that cracks the door wide open for a whole new crew of competitors. Okay, now this is where it gets really cool, because this is where the future of the grid is basically being decided right now. Let's meet the marathon runners, the technologies that are all competing to store clean energy for the long haul. So our first challenger is actually the oldest kid on the block. Pumped storage hydropower is, honestly, beautifully simple. You just use cheap, extra electricity to pump water up a hill into a big reservoir. Then, when you need that power back, you just let gravity do all the work, releasing the water back down through turbines. It's basically a giant rechargeable water battery. Now, with a technology this old and, this massive, the pros and cons are pretty stark. PSH is a proven workhorse. It accounts for over 90% of all grid storage on the planet today. But it's got major limitations. You literally need the right kind of mountains, the upfront costs are huge, and building one can take a decade, sometimes more. It's a huge undertaking. Next up, we have a really fascinating technology called a flow battery. So picture this. Unlike a normal battery where everything's packed inside one box, a flow battery keeps its energy juice, its electrolyte, in these big external tanks. This super clever design means you can scale up your power and your energy totally separately. Need more power? Build a bigger reactor. Need more energy? Just add bigger, cheaper tanks. And that part, just making the tanks bigger, is the secret sauce for long-duration storage. This unique design gives flow batteries some incredible perks for long duration, like a super long lifespan and that easy scalability we talked about. So what's the catch? Well, you guessed it, it's cost. That special liquid electrolyte can make up something like 60% of the whole system's cost, and that's still a pretty big barrier to getting these things everywhere. All right, our third challenger kind of throws the rulebook out the window. Thermal energy storage works in 3 simple steps. Step 1, you take electricity and use it to make something crazy hot. Step 2, You store all that heat in incredibly cheap and common materials, like rocks or molten salt. And step 3, when you need the juice back, you just convert that heat back into electricity, usually with a standard steam turbine. I mean, the huge, massive win here is how dirt cheap the storage part is. We are literally talking about a pile of rocks. Plus, it's got this clever potential to reuse old stuff, like steam turbines from retired coal plants. The big puzzle to solve, though, is efficiency. That process of turning heat back into electricity, you just lose some energy along the way. And the super high temperatures create some tough engineering problems.
Okay, so you've got all these different players on the field. What does the grid of the future actually end up looking like?
First off, let's just wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what we're talking about here. Solving this long-duration storage problem isn't a small deal. We're talking about unlocking investment opportunities worth up to $4 trillion by 2040. Yeah, the prize for cracking this nut is, well, it's massive.
And this right here is probably the single most important thing to take away from all of this. There is not going to be one single winner. The future grid isn't about finding some magic bullet technology. It's about building a team. You've got your lithium-ion goalie, right? Making those split-second saves to keep the lights on. You need your pumped hydro defenders, the big powerhouses providing reliable capacity. And you absolutely need your flow and thermal battery midfielders, the endurance athletes doing the heavy lifting of shifting energy from sunny days to dark, cloudy weeks. So look, here's the final score. The tech we need to solve this whole renewable energy paradox, the tools to build a stable 100% clean grid, they're here. They exist today. This isn't science fiction anymore. The biggest challenges, they're not really technical. They're about investment, policy, and just plain public will. We have the toolkit. So the only real question left is, are we actually ready to start building with it?